Good morning, everyone. This is One Pretty Ricky. We're thankful and so excited for another amazing day of recovery. So this is F5 Recovery Radio here on KRFF 95.9 LPFM. Joined with my amazing co-host, Kirsten Huovinen, looking lovely as always.
Good morning.
Yeah. So even though Adam is not in studio today, he made us late. So,
He did.
Yeah. Somehow.
Alaska.
Yeah. Yeah, Adam is away in Alaska. I forgot the name of the program he's doing, but he's doing like this really intensive recovery training program thing up there with Scott, Kathy, Samantha. There's like a bunch of people got to go.
That would have been a fun trip.
Yeah.
A fun group.
Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine. Well, I can't imagine. I've been seeing some of the snaps and things of just the ridiculousness. So they've been having a very good time. So good for them. Hope they're enjoying themselves. Good for them.
Have you been to Alaska?
No, that's one place. I don't know if I'd want to go.
Want to go?
Yeah, I don't know if it's for like because I feel like they're very like it's a lot of nature and a lot of like just those type of things, and that is not me.
Oh, not an outdoorsy kind.
No.
Yeah, I don't like to camp unless there's like towels hanging on the rack. But I was when I was 16, fresh off the farm, I went to nanny for my aunt in Alaska.
Okay.
And so it was like my first time on a plane.
Yeah.
My first time away from home, seeing anything bigger than a trailer house. I mean, it was crazy. And I had an older cousin that was there, and he was like, I thought he was the coolest thing. And so we'd go for walks at like 1 a.m. because it's still light out, because it's light out all day.
Yep.
And we walked by a moose once, and he told me, don't look a moose in the eye or it'll charge. So until probably, I don't know, a year ago, I believed that if you looked a moose in the eye, they would charge. And so thank God that was the one time I ever saw a moose, But anyway, it was really cool. And they had a lake place, and you had to land on the water, like the plane landed on the water.
That's cool.
I'd barely been in a plane, you know what I mean? So the fact that like we're landing on water. I just thought I was going to die.
Like on purpose.
Sure. Yeah. On purpose. I know. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's really cool. And you said you were 16?
Yeah.
That's cool. And that's the last time you've been?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. And we they took a trip to Disney in San Diego or wherever that is in California. Mm-hmm. Whichever one it
Disneyland. Yep.
And I got to go with. It was just like taking like this bumpkin off the farm to this place, and there was an earthquake while we were there. It was just like I was so sunburnt I couldn't move because I don't think my skin had seen much sun ever. Anyway, but it was really a great experience. It was so awesome, and I got to go with one of my cousins that I love hanging out with her anyway. But anyway, so it was beautiful.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I digress.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think it's one of those things, like just getting in touch and really being able to spend time outside, just a different kind of perspective. Which, I mean, that's one thing. It's wild that like growing up in California, outside of the beach, like you have the beach, you have the mountains, you have like all this like different environments that you can kind of explore. But like I was never really, like my sister was always like, let's go for a hike, let's go to the beach, let's go to the mountains, let's do all these things. And then when I got away from her, moving to North Dakota, then I was like, oh sweet, I don't have to do any of that if I don't want to. And then I could just use like mosquitoes, or I can use negative temperatures, or I could just use, there's all sorts of different weather related things that I could just blame to like not do any of that. So you live
close enough to go to the beach?
Yeah, it was like 45 minutes.
You're lucky.
Yeah, which everybody says that. They're like, oh man, you must have been to the beach all the time. I was like, no, unless my sister specifically made me go to the beach, because we had to like, growing up, we had to do everything together. Like, if it was her activities, I had to go. If it was my activities, she had to go. My parents just made us, which, I mean, has definitely helped. I'm older by like 18 months. So, like, we're, like, super tight because of it. So, like, I think I hated it then. I didn't hate it. It was just like, okay, whatever. I'm just hanging out with my little sister, who was definitely cooler than me, but that's another story. But, like, we always had to, like, do things together. And so, like, whenever she would want to go to the beach or whatever, like, I'd have to go. Yeah. And then I would have a good time, but it wouldn't be, like, really, like, the best time.
Wasn't your idea.
No.
You were spinning records.
Yeah. I'd rather just be home playing video games or just playing basketball or,
So can you surf and stuff?
I've gotten up on a surfboard one time.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, cool. That's it. Like, I did it. Like, I did the thing.
Done.
Like,
Yeah.
I have no pictures and no video proof, but, like, I know that I did it. And, like, I didn't immediately... I'll give myself credit and say I stood up for 2 seconds. Yeah. I would like to think that it was more like 10, but I'm on the radio and I want to be honest and transparent and say, like, it was just, like...
It's all in how you
got
tell
up
the tale.
and just...
That's what I believe.
Yeah, and then, like... Yeah. A big wave came out of nowhere. It was like a tsunami, just kind of like knocked me over for sure.
It was nature took you
Oh
out.
yeah, nature was like, you don't belong here. And then just
What did your sister like doing on the beach?
Oh, we love like bonfires. She loved to go out into the water. You know, we didn't tan, but like it was just more of just like spending time like outside on the beach and building sandcastles and kind of hanging out. And me, like, and one time I saw this, like, you know, like these like little like sand crabs and like freaked me out. And I was like, if I step out too far, like they're going to get me. I don't know. I just had all these like really weird, irrational fears. I was never afraid of like, but it was just the beach. Like whenever I went deep sea fishing with my uncles, because I had like 2 boy cousins and like the rest were girls. So like he would take us out like deep sea fishing. I would love that. Like I would fish. I would catch these huge like marlin and sea bass, like just really, really big fish. And I didn't mind deep ocean, but somehow like looking at the ocean from the shore, just like it was like, nah, this isn't for me. But you put me on a boat and I'm totally fine.
There's a lot of things out there that can eat you. I just don't need to be out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm still convinced there's like land sharks and sharks in the lakes, but whatever. Just makes me swim faster.
Yep. I've been looking for them. Haven't quite found any yet, but I'm sure they're there.
They are for sure. They are for sure.
Oh, this is awesome.
We went to Florida and my son, this is totally, I don't even know what we're talking about today, but I have an irrational fear of sharks. Maybe it's not irrational. Maybe it's totally rational because there are sharks. But we went to Florida on this family trip, and my youngest son, who's 13 tomorrow, happy birthday,
Ooh,
Chuck. Anyway, he was out like probably up to his waist in the water, you know, just dinking around. And I was sitting on the shore because I didn't want to go in because of sharks. So I just thought, well, that's irrational. So he can play in there. Anyway, and I'm not kidding you. A fin came up within a foot of him, right behind him. Yeah. And all I could do was yell, Finn, which made no sense to him. And so he would have been eaten had it not been a dolphin, you know. But I don't know the difference between dolphin fin or shark fin. Anyway, so that's the end of the ocean. We're not going back there.
Yeah. It's like, nope. Yeah. Forget that. That's awesome.
Oh, poor kid.
Finn. Yeah. And what did he do? Did he just like stare at you? Like,
just
Mom,
like,
what
is the matter?
Yeah.
Yeah. So had it been a shark, he would have just been eaten. But
right.
I mean, that's probably why you have more than one kid, I guess. I don't know. That's terrible. So.
I was like, oh, Ricky is doomed. He's the only one. Well, oh well.
Don't let him go in the ocean.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's going to be easy enough for me to do. Yeah. I'm like, you don't get to go to the ocean. Yeah. Yeah. But speaking of fins, today's topic, we're talking about overcoming anxiety in recovery, which is just an awesome topic. I always try to like pick different like relevant things, and I think a lot of it stems from, sometimes it's like personal things, sometimes it's just like, oh, this would be like a really good topic to kind of explore. But I think today's anxiety, I don't know, when I picked it, because I always try to like plan out like what we're going to talk about. But I think when I originally wrote this, it was like, oh, this would just be like a really good mental health topic. Like we talk about a lot of specific recovery things, and obviously mental health is part of recovery, but like more addiction side of things. But I thought today would be a really good topic to kind of just explore like our mental health and, you know, kind of how that works in different things. And so I think one of the main kind of like start off easy softball questions that I wanted to kind of explore is like, how has like anxiety changed for you now that you're sober, or is it still the same before?
It's such a broad topic. There's so much to say about it. There's like different degrees of anxiety. There's just like normal anxiety that's healthy. It's healthy to feel some anxiety, I guess, because I always say like I write my best papers the night before, you know what I mean? I don't, but I just
Right.
tell myself that. But, you know, a little bit of anxiety motivates me to do some things. And so that can be totally healthy. I think before I started drinking and using chemicals, I felt like this underlying, like something was off. You know what I mean? Just like everybody got the handbook to life and I had no idea what was going on.
Okay.
And I felt anxious a lot of the time, and I just felt like the other shoe's always going to drop. Like something is, impending doom is coming.
Yep.
And I felt as though everyone else just went about life and had joy and everything came easy and whatever. And then when I started drinking and using other fun things, that anxiety and that fear of people and that fear of being who I am, that uncomfortable in my own skin thing, just was like, it was like magic. It just went away.
Right.
And I felt normal.
Yeah.
I felt like I thought everybody else looked, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
And so then to get sober, you just took away my medication. And
Right.
the thing that made me a part of life is just, is suddenly like causing a lot of legal consequences. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like I maybe come to with a new tattoo that's spelled wrong or what, you know,
Right.
little things that happen to everybody, I'm sure. But that anxiety comes back and that uncomfortable in your own skin and that like, it's almost suffocating. Like you can't catch your breath. And it feels so backwards to say, okay, what's going to help you is for you to go to this meeting
Right.
and talk to other people. And you're thinking,
What?
okay, but that's the problem is
Right.
that I don't want to be around other people.
Right.
And, you know, I'm sure in my life I've said, you know, I have social anxiety or I'm an introvert or whatever, and use that as my excuse
Sure.
to not live my life,
Yep.
which I can't think my way out of this one. You know,
Right.
if I could have thought my way out of this, I'd have quit going to jail way before I did, you know,
Right.
or,
Yep.
if it was just about getting sober, then detox would pump out winners. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's just not what it's about. It's that inability to live life on life's terms. Anyway, that anxiety can be so paralyzing, and I think it just comes and goes at different times in life, and it's in direct. It's like directly related to how active I am in my recovery program. How am I willing to be uncomfortable? Am I willing to talk to other people and
Right.
treat the basic thing? I think just like with, you're probably the exact same way, but it's like with any illness you have, if you were diabetic and you're like, well, I just feel funny. It doesn't have anything to do with the insulin. You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless you're doing the basics and maintaining that healthy blood sugar, which I don't have diabetes. I don't know how many cookies you can have or whatever.
Yeah.
But unless you're taking care of that, the rest of life seems very difficult and overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with recovery. If I'm not taking care of the basics, like staying in contact with a sponsor, calling other people in recovery, attending my meetings that I always say I never want to go to, but I always like going to. Unless I'm treating my illness on a very basic level, the rest of it feels so overwhelming
Yes.
that pretty soon it just feels like this weight is just like, it gets so heavy that almost the only option feels like to drink, because
Right.
you're so backed into a corner that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is that what's your experience?
Yeah. And I think that you're exactly like takes it to right to where I wanted to go, because I think this crushing, it's just very crushing. Like I don't know, 500-pound weight on your chest, like rock, just so it's like, and then for me before I got into recovery, like gambling was like one of my easiest ways to like manage that, because like, oh man, life is so heavy. I have all these things that I can't control in my mind.
Right.
Can't control all these things, but instead of like trying to like manage it or try to like figure out like, okay, let's deal with these things. I was like, oh, I'll just manage my anxiety another way. Like instead of dealing with the main problem that's like very having all these issues, I'll just go and gamble, because then that'll at least I'm in control. Because for me, it was always like a control thing. Because it's like, okay, well, if I have 17, if I'm playing blackjack and I have 17, I could hit and potentially get 21, or I could potentially bust. But like, at least I'm in control of this situation when I'm
and
doing.
When you're gambling, it shuts off all that stress.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like it's like whatever I was dealing with life, whatever problems, whatever I was like it was like truly like just running away from. Yeah. It's like, oh, at least right now this anxiety is manageable. Yeah. My money in a way was manageable. Right. Like if I was doing like parlays, if I was betting on or if I was betting on other people's like performances, or if I'm sports betting and I'm betting other people, it's like, okay, well, I could choose to, I can choose however far I wanted to go, however many games I wanted to play, whatever it was. So it was always like, I'm just taking back control, which then in my like sickness and in my disease, I was like, okay, when my money ran out and I no longer am in control, now I'm feeling even like this anxiety is back. Yeah. Like somehow, like it was like all gone, like all the life problems were gone. I had to focus here. And then it's like, oh shoot, I don't have any money. I can't manage this anymore. Weirdly enough, this weight is back on my chest again. All of a sudden, like weird how that works. And so like I was trying to always just, trying to balance this thing or trying to just ignore it. And it just never went away. But yet then I was like, oh, you know what? And then I would get some money again. Sweet. You know what? Let's just not just ignore life's problems again. And let's just go back and do that and go back to control. Because then at least I can feel better. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, well then this will help me feel better to be able to, and like, okay, I need to gamble to help myself feel better. Yeah. So then I can deal with like my relationship problems, or, then I can deal with my boss or just, I had so many different excuses for what pushed me, to go do that. And so now in recovery, I think, and still like working through it, it's like, okay, I still want that control. The some days are definitely, it's 500-pound weight. Sometimes it's a 50-pound weight, but like there's still that weight of life and pressure like on my chest. And so now it's like, okay, instead of me just going out to gamble, I just thankfully have replaced it with meetings and with a sponsor and with really, really good people in recovery who I can talk to and say, hey, my life is not great right now. Like I'm really struggling with whatever, and I need to just vent. Yeah. And I need you to just know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And just putting yourself around people like that to help do that. And then it's like, oh, man, I feel so much better just literally getting this weight off my chest. And then it's like, oh, man, this is what I should have been doing all along. Yeah. But I just was too sick to realize it. I just didn't know that it wasn't normal to just ignore your problems. Or I knew they were there, but I was like, well, I'll just deal with this other thing first. And then I'll come back to that.
What they say, your best thinking got you here. Yeah. I really was like flattered when I first heard that. I'm like, it did. I'm pretty, And they're like, well, you're not like a rocket surgeon or anything. You're sitting here, Right. Like, yeah, that's true. That's true. And so why do I continue to trust my own thinking? I just... for sure. A great example of when I first came into recovery, I got a sponsor, and I was saying, like, I was telling her, I have no money. I can't balance my budget. I have no money to balance anyway. I was just like panicked, like getting myself worked up into a panic attack over money. And I remember she said to go greet at the door. And I thought, did you not hear me? We are talking finances. Me shaking hands is not going to fix that. You know what I mean? And she was absolutely right. Me getting out of myself and just getting to know other people, there's no way we can fix that overnight. Right. We couldn't have sat down for 20 minutes and fixed any of that. Right. But I could be happy in that moment with the problems I have. And I've always, tried to remind myself that my problems are not why I'm unhappy. My problems are not why I'm unhappy. I've been through worse things with a better attitude. Right. And a lot of times it's just, I don't have words. I don't know how to say I don't feel supported, or I'm overwhelmed, or it's like it's only okay to say you're happy, sad, or mad.
Right.
And even the sad one in this neck of the woods, you
yeah.
gotta keep your stuff together. You can be sad, but don't actually cry, because that's weird.
Yep.
But you know what I mean? Like, we just don't even have the vocabulary. And my husband would come downstairs. I like mad clean at the world or at him, somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm like throwing stuff around and acting super mature, and he'll say, "What's wrong?" And I'm almost in tears because I feel so suffocated by this anxiety and pressure. And he just wants to help, So he's like, "Well, what's on your to-do list? Just let me help you." And when I stop to think about it, it's like, well, oh my gosh, I guess I gotta like make one phone call and okay, there's absolutely nothing. I have no idea why I feel this way,
Yep.
But just to be able to say it out loud is like, okay, like you were saying, just to give it words. It just, I don't know why, it's so freeing, and it's relatable, because you can't fix the stuff you're going through at the moment anyway. And I think over the years in recovery, thank goodness, you learn to be comfortable in your own skin, or for the most part. I'm not saying I always walk around super confident. Half the time I'm like, please don't see me, please don't see me. Right. But you just you start to realize that feelings don't own you. They just pass through you. They're just guides. And negative feelings aren't always negative. And anxiety isn't always negative. And just to have more words. But that fear of the unknown turns into worry, which turns into me destroying a relationship, because you create what you fear.
Oh, absolutely.
And if I'm worried about, if I'm worried that my husband with his midlife crisis and buying this Harley is going to die, blah, blah, blah. If I am on him about it all the time, I take all the joy out of it.
Right.
And really all I'm saying is, I'm afraid you're going to get in an accident. Why couldn't I just say that instead of are you sure this is a good idea?
Right.
Is that helmet going to blah, blah, blah. Is this even safe? Do you have, you know what I mean? I'm just taking all the fun out of it for him and for me, Anyway, I just wreck it, because I didn't have the words. I just didn't know how to say it.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that's like anxiety, why, specifically looking at overcoming anxiety, it's really just sometimes just giving words to it. Like, this is what, and I'm really as much as I'm saying, oh, just give words to your anxiety, just say it out loud. It's like, it's never that easy. At least it's not for me. I have to beat around the bush, take the Candyland up and down and around, and eventually I'll get to what's really bothering me. And so I have to give it, if it takes me 105 words to get to the point, I can't just say 90, or I can't just say 10 and get right to it. And so my partner has been just amazing at she'll do the song and dance or she'll just literally this happened yesterday. I was on the phone and my life is just so chaotic, and I'm just the dog was running around. I slammed the screen door, and then it spooked me, and then I'm just oh my God, babe, I'm so, and I was my life is so chaotic. And she was like, I know. And so sometimes I just wait until you everything settles down, and then you tell me exactly what you want. And then I just laugh because I'm embarrassed because I know this is my life, but then I'm all of a sudden in love all of a sudden, because it's oh, you still love me in my chaos. And then I was oh my God, then I'm freaking out because I was how do I manage this chaos? And then I was no, that's okay. Literally all these things are happening in split seconds of things are firing off my brain. I
absolutely get it.
And so it's just oh no, this is okay. But at least I got there. At least she knows what I'm going through. She knows how I just exist.
You have some tells.
Yeah. And it's just if this is okay. And so but for me, it's so hard to just go right to that, because I still feel I have to do the Candyland. I still have to do that. Somehow in 5 years, over 5 years of recovery, or just maybe this is just me. I don't know. Like, I can't just speak my anxiety. I can't just speak the thing that's bothering me. I can't just speak the thing that's like stressing me out. I can't just speak it and just give it words. I have to like get myself like ramp up, get comfortable, and then eventually I'll mention the thing that's really, really bothering me or really like freaking me the heck out.
Yeah.
And then at that point, when I finally get to the point of like this thing, and then it's like this, like I hold my breath and I just wait for like the person to respond or poke a finger or anything, and then it never happens. But like, isn't like I dance around it to get to it, because then I'm like, well, maybe then I won't say it, but then I always say it, and then it's like this. Am I weird? Am I a freak? like is this dumb? You know, am I dumb? Like, I'm just waiting for like you know the other shoe. I'm just waiting for something, and then usually the person who I'm talking to is like, that's cool, that's totally normal, that's okay, we got this. Like, you know, Matt, like, just what's on your list? And then it's like, oh, okay. And then she just does the thing, whatever it was that was freaking me out, and then it's like, oh, okay. And then I kind of just put my hands in my pocket, and I kind of like, okay, we're good now.
I'm a grown up. I promise. I promise I'm a grown up.
It was just, it's so, and I don't know why I do that.
I don't know either. I have to punish everyone in my house before I get to what I really want. Nobody knows how to run this dishwasher. Are you serious? You know what I mean? Let's just leave our stuff. Oh, Mom will get it. You know, I have a whole fit thing going on, and then I have to go back and make amends for it. I'm like, sorry, I was sorry. You know what I mean? I didn't mean to act that way. But it's just how you get there. I think that's a healthy part of the recovery part, is working through it, being willing to say it out loud instead of being like, because it is embarrassing. Like, I'm a grown woman that is pouting around my house for no reason. When someone asks if they can help, I'm almost mad that they asked that they could help, because now I'm really comfortable in this pouting part, and I want to be right. You know what I mean? But just to call somebody else, I don't even need an answer. Just to be able to call somebody else and say, do you know what, you know, blah, 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 whatever. And then just to have someone say, yeah, I've been in that same boat, or, you know, or whatever. That connection is freeing. Nothing changed about whatever I'm stressed about, except the way I see it. And I think that's the beauty of recovery, is that my perception, like, I have a disease of perception. I don't see things right. I take everything personal, and nothing is personal. I make assumptions. You know, if someone maybe doesn't say good morning with the right tone, then I'm pretty sure they hate me, and then I obsess about that. And or if they say, hey, I like your shirt, I'm like, well, what's wrong with my shirt? What, you know what I mean? Am I not good enough? Anyway, so I can just if I let crazy win, holy smokes, just crazy win. For sure.
So do you think, like, so on that, like, do you think one of the things in overcoming your anxiety, in kind of like managing that better, obviously personally, have you figured out ways to help other people to help you like manage your anxiety? So like, I didn't know, I mean, I knew my life was chaos, but when Jelsa said it, I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever actually had a conversation to say, hey, my life is real messed up. This is kind of how I
said it out loud before.
Yeah. And then when she said it, I was like, oh, snap. Like, it was just like this weird revelation of like, I know my life is chaotic. How do you know? You know, have you noticed, or have you had like that kind of like interactions, or just where people are just learning you, or like, have you helped people learn you and your anxiousness and different things?
I don't know. I think, well, when you're married to somebody, they just see it, you know, and the fact that they still love you is pretty amazing. I do a whole bunch of different things where Matt he'll take a deep breath for me, and he'll say, you're nervous talking. Because if I get nervous, if I feel a little bit of pressure, I will spill everything I've ever done from the 3rd grade on. You know what I mean? I just keep talking and talking and talking. I'd be the worst salesman. Because one moment of silence, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I'll just give it to you. You know what I mean? Anyway, I envy that about my husband. He could just sit in silence so comfortably. I don't know if it's just he's not thinking anything,
Nope.
or which is a guy thing and it's magic. Because I'll say, "What are you thinking?" He'll say nothing, and that's really what's happening.
Yeah.
That has never happened ever in my life. I'm always thinking something, but I think helping other people with their anxiety is just being relatable or being transparent or just being like being open about the ridiculous things you do. And it is a full moon because last night I slept for crap. My husband was sick. He's still sick. He's like got a bucket sick. And then I chipped my front tooth this morning.
Oh, no.
So I was like, oh, God, I can't go anywhere. I have to like go get the Dremel and file this down. But then that would be a bad idea. But anyway, so I thought, oh, my gosh, everybody's going to notice on the radio. And but what happened was I'm making a wind chime for my mom, and I had put this bead thing in my mouth because I had to tighten my bra strap because I have to stick with the illusion of being voluptuous. And so when I have this thing hanging from my mouth, my cat comes out of nowhere and yanks it out of my mouth.
Oh, no.
And chipped my tooth. And so I thought, oh my God, I can't even go into public. But I'm glad you haven't mentioned anything. But anything with teeth makes me so anxious. Oh, it just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And my youngest son, I always had my cousin Emily come over and pull the kids' teeth because I just,
Yes,
it
a
just
teeth
like,
thing. Yep.
I start to feel weak and I can't really, I start to pace. And so Charlie had a loose tooth and he's like, please take it out. And I'm like, oh God, okay. Oh, all right. So we tied a little string around his tooth and then I just pasted circles and he's like, because he has this thing, he's like, you're driving me crazy, Mom, to like get it over with. So I tied it to the doorknob and oh my gosh, I pasted circles and I was like, you ready, buddy? You ready? Okay. And he's like, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. So I slammed the door. And the string was too long, so it didn't even do it. So then we had to do it all over again, and it just was awful. But when the door shut, he goes, you should have measured that, like with this little lisp. Oh, my gosh. So that gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
But so it's been an anxious morning anyway, and I think the full moon. But now I have to go to the dentist. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Huh.
I can't even tell.
Well, you're being kind. Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's all right. I'll just talk like this.
Oh,
It'll be
perfect.
good.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But things that I obsess about, nobody will notice.
Right.
Or I could just tell them I was in a fight. I saved somebody's life.
Mm-hmm. And then be like, oh, yeah. And then that would be very believable.
Yeah.
No one would question it. Like, oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
Like, if they said if I said that, they'd be like, you say that? They're like, oh, no. Absolutely. Can totally get it. Yep.
No. Have you ever actually been in a fight? I've never actually been in a fight.
No, I've always talked my way out of them.
I've never even been
Gotten
in a
close.
yelling fight because I refuse to yell back.
Right.
I've been yelled at, but one time there was a kid that was beating up my brother after school, and my dad told me to walk home with him, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? Oh, my God. And sure enough, this kid jumps out of the bushes, and he starts wailing on my brother, and I was like, I have no idea what to do. So I took my clarinet case because I was a cool kid, and I hit him over the head with it, and it knocked him out. And I thought I killed him for sure.
I'm sure.
And anyway, and I thought my dad was going to murder us. Mm-hmm. But I went home, and at supper,
Of course, you
I had to tell him.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, how long did he lay there? And I'm like, well, like just a couple seconds. And all he said was, should have hit him harder. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I have one bye in my whole life, and it's this time. And it's this time because I stood up for my little brother, who's no longer little, but or littler than me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But again, you just bonded.
Yeah.
And he will probably never forget it.
So you're a smooth talker, huh?
Mm-hmm. Talking my way out of anything.
Are you the peacemaker?
Yes, usually. Or, I mean, this is terrible, but like I would always just have other people fight my battles. Like, I would like, all right. And then I would just tell my friends, and then they would just say, all right, we'll take care of it. And then just got to take care of. I'd never, like, ask questions. It was kind of like one of those, like, don't ask, don't tell. It was just like, look, I'm just having some issues. Obviously, it's not that smooth, but I was like, yeah, I'm just having some problems with this person. And they're like, okay, we'll take care of it. And then it just got handled. And then I had no more issues with whatever that person was.
How did you work that?
Man,
that's a gift, really.
Yep, just being able. So that I never had to, like, I mean, there was definitely a moment where, like, it got close. Yeah, so, like, some guy had, like, assaulted, but, like, it's high school. Like, didn't really assault my sister, but, like, had definitely, like, said some words about it that I wasn't going to tolerate.
Right.
And so I had, like, confronted this person. He's like, all right, I'll see you after school. So I'm like, all right, cool. So then, of course, I just tell my friends, and then, like he never shows up.
Yeah.
Because, of course, like, I was like, all right, well, that's fine. Yeah, you can
scared.
Yeah. And he never actually showed up.
That's what I would have.
So I was like, yep.
Or he forgot.
And then, like, he wouldn't, like, look me in the eye the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Yep. Obviously, I would see him around. And I, like, been going out of my way, like, trying to, like, make eye contact and see if he wanted to start anything. Which, because, again, I'm like, I'm not going to do anything. But, like, it's like that little dog who's just like, oh, big bad. I'm like, yeah, I know I'm not going to do anything.
But you have the upper hand now because you showed up.
And so now I'm like, okay, and he just would
did he
never
know,
catch my gaze. And
he'd have won that fight.
He absolutely would have.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I'm a peacemaker. Any tension gives me anxiety.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not. I don't like being stressed. I don't like none of that.
No, I don't either. Anyway, I just think kindness is the only way to do it.
I think so.
Yeah. It's worked for me thus far. And I mean, I have had to make amends for some things, but
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably should make amends to that person. I don't have a way of getting a hold of him, but like maybe just somehow.
I don't know. Talk to your sponsor about that one. I would vote no, but that's just because I think you should win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you are tuning in, this is KRFF 95.9 LPFM. This is F5 Recovery Radio. And we want to just thank Rough Cut Social for underwriting this programming, as well as other programming here on KRFF. They are Fargo's ultimate entertainment destination for axe throwing. You can enjoy fun with family and friends, a stellar team building excursion, or you can book a party. Rough Cut comes complete with a full beer, wine, and soda bar for your perfect time out. And they're located not too far from us at 1100 MP Avenue, Suite 102 here in Fargo. You can check out roughcutsocial.com for more. And so you had mentioned, Kirsten, a good point of like your anxiety kind of working through and like helping other people. I think one thing, have you noticed like whatever you're anxious about, like maybe not your teeth, but like the things that you're anxious about, do you find yourself like as soon as you find out somebody else has the same anxiousness about it to like over help them to like manage that to be and like I'm going to help you with your teeth thing because that's like helping me. That makes sense?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Do you see that or ever notice that? Like,
yeah, I suppose. I mean, it's relatable when you, especially, I mean, it just feels so good to be like, listen, my grill's all jacked up, and then have somebody go, oh my gosh, my grill's all jacked up. And then you kind of commiserate on that. Nothing gets fixed, but you're like, oh, now we're like grill buddies or whatever. And I just think that if you have any experience with it, that's usually the best person to talk to. I don't have to know. Turns out I don't need to know anything. I just need to know somebody who does know it. And I think everybody can relate with feeling anxious and having those, having that fear in life. And I think the beautiful part about being in recovery is that I can call somebody who lets me respond to a situation instead of reacting. Because when I reacting to something is me taking action based on past events and emotions I've already had, so I could like flip my lid over something that's similar, completely unrelated, and did not need that reaction, or I could respond, which is like emotionally mature and going in healthy, level-headed. And that's kind of what recovery does for me. It's that hopefully it's hopefully I've already talked with somebody and I can go in with a plan instead of, with my nervous talking and then anyway, whatever. But it's always there's always somebody that's already done this. You don't have to reinvent the wheel,
Right.
you know? You're not the first person to feel anxious or be suffocated by it, and, you know?
Well, I think that's one thing I'm trying to be like better about, because I think even, I don't know if I've always done this in recovery or maybe just recently. I feel like in the past 2 months, there's been 3 individuals who aren't like in my recovery circle, but who are just navigating some different life things. And now I'm finding myself like over helping, if that makes sense. Like now I'm like taking on, instead of dealing with a lot of the problems and issues like as a dad and my shortcomings as a husband, just all, I have a whole list, you know, I'm not going to air out all of it, but like just there's a lot of things that I'm like, I know I've talked to my sponsor about, I talked to Jelsa about, like I have, like I really want to work on, and told them, they were like, hey, these are some things we'll work on, so they're trying to help me. But instead of working on that list, I have these 3 specific friends who have, you know, very like differing things that they're going through that I'm like uber committed to.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm checking on them every day and like send them text messages and like here's some like motivational quotes. Here's just like some scriptures, whatever. And like, because I just don't want to deal with my own anxiousness and my own thing. So I'm like just trying to like overcorrect by just helping them with theirs.
Yeah.
And like, and I don't know, I'd never like noticed it beforehand, but I'm definitely noticing it recently. Like, yeah, the past 2 months.
Because you actually have a to-do list.
Yeah, because I'm like, all right, I have things I'm supposed to be doing for me to be a better person. Things that I like, they didn't bring this stuff up. Like these are like, hey, these are some things I'm noticing about myself recently that I want to do. I haven't tackled that list in weeks because I'm like, oh, nope, you know, this person has this. I'm like, no, just sorry, I can't work on this other thing that I know I said because I have this other person that really needs me. And it's like, man, like what is...
It haunts you then.
Yeah.
It's like if I have paperwork to do, suddenly I'm cleaning the leaves off my plant. I'm cleaning the dust off my leaves. I'm cleaning a closet. I'm doing everything. But that thing, the paperwork in the back of my head haunts me, and it gets heavier and heavier and grosser and grosser. Why don't I just take care of it? Right. I don't know. Maybe I like it. Maybe I like that horrible feeling, you know, but I just have to do the stuff that sucks, or the cool stuff sucks. Right. It's like I like wreck the coolest things because I'm unmanageable, you know. If I just did the stuff that sucked right away, the cool stuff would be super cool every time. But I just let it haunt the weekends, and I let it haunt, you know, my time with my kids and whatever. And great advice I got about friends was allow people their own journey. You know, I was like, oh, what is that supposed to mean? You know, like even if they fail, that's their journey. Your failures built a career, you know? Right. Yep. And I'm just like, oh.
I know, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I know. I just, I know. I know.
Like, no, I want to just take this on. Because again, I don't want to deal with that list. But I know working through that list will just it will make me better. And then I won't have to really think about it. Yeah. You know, because these will be things that I'm like, okay, cool. Like one of the things on the list was like, all right, I really want to like use our stationary bike. We have a Peloton at home, and like haven't touched it. There might have been a couple of times since Ricky's been born, but not very often. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I really want to like get back on it because I want to like start to hopefully create the habits that I will carry through the winter. Because then I will be inside. I know me. I will be inside all the time. Yeah. And I won't go out, and I won't go for walks. I won't take the dog. I won't do any of that. Yeah. So it's like, all right, if I could do that now, in theory, it'll be a habit by the time December comes. Right. And so it's like, but yet I haven't done any of that because I'm like, I think I got on it once. And that was just I had to like recalibrate it. Yeah. And then once the calibration done, I was like, oh, well, that was a good session. And I just jumped off and then went back upstairs.
Maybe you just don't like it. Maybe you just don't do it. Yeah. I have quit holding myself to any like plan because I just don't roll like that. Right. I try and exist between bursts of reform. Like, oh, I'm going to do all this. This is going to save it. Blah, 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 blah. But it just creates more anxiety because I'm like, all right, I'm going to get up and I'm going to run every day. I'm going to do it. And I do it for a week even, maybe even a month. But sooner or later, I just don't want to do it anymore, and I don't. Right. And then the anxiety and stress that creates is like, why am I doing this to myself?
Right.
Why did I have every journal or diary I've ever started, I'm going to write in this every day. And then I miss a day and I'm like, I wrecked it all. I can't go back, you know. And that creates more stress. So I've just realized, and this is probably terrible advice, I lowered the bar for everything in my life. I'm like, I have zero expectations that I will maintain this. I'm going to do what I can, the best I can, and the rest, whatevs, you know? I'm just going to quit wrecking my day with plans I made up that I can't attain.
Right.
Good grief.
Oh, I'm really good at setting that bar so high that it's like, oh, yeah, I can't wait till I hit that.
I know.
And then I was like, wait a minute. Can I hit that? And then it just spirals. And then it's like, oh, okay. So then I have this whole, like, existential... I'm trying to figure out, like, how did the bar get there? Now I can't get it back down somehow. How do they even put it up there in the first place?
It's imaginary. The whole thing's
it's just like, what is even happening? Like, what is going on? Yeah, but I think that's one of the, and which is why, like, overcoming anxiety is just a continuous work. It's a work in progress, literally every day. It's like, okay, how do I just get through today?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's like, how do I just get through, like, this next, like, 10 minutes of, like, and then it's like, okay, I just need to go for a walk. I just need to make a phone call. I need to just figure out, like, this small thing because I can't get that bar that high. Like, it's up there. All right, fine. I'll figure out how to lower it later on. But right now, I really need to get my shoes figured out. You know, whatever that, like, really easy. Like, I need to just give myself a really easy thing to do. And then once I crush that really easy thing, oh, man, you can't tell me nothing. All of a sudden, my head is this big.
I did it. I did it.
Yeah, and I don't let any, like, because Jess was really good at, like, let's bring this back here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, no. I did this real easy thing, and I'm just, I need two hands to carry my head walking around. I'm like, no, don't talk to me.
I'd like an applause, actually. And then she'd be like, paperwork that I was supposed to do.
Like, you just, like, emptied the like whatever, like where we put all of his dirty diapers. Like, you just empty that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I did.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. We're no longer keeping that stink in here. And she's like, that was the easiest thing. I'm like, yeah, but you have no idea how much anxiety that gave me. That as soon as I open that, I'm just gonna just hit with a waft of just stink, and it just sucks. And I hate, but like, I made this thing. Like, I don't want her taking out the trash.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why. Just in my mind, I was like, you'll never take out the trash. So she's never taken the trash in our entire relationship.
Yeah.
Which now means I have to take care of this stinky, diaper genie thing. I hate emptying it because it just smells, obviously, and just like. But once I do it, then I'm like, here I am. You're welcome. And it's just like it's such a silly thing. But I need that. Like, I need to just do that really
Lower
easy thing.
The bar, and there's joy everywhere.
And then
there's joy everywhere. I swear, it has made my life so much. It's made it blissful just to be where your hands are and like you said, do the next. If it's about doing the next 10 minutes to breathe, do that. Or there's a lot of things that help with anxiety, like exercise, your diet, and if it's significant and keeps you from living your life, like go see a mental health professional. You know what I mean? You can go see somebody. It's not just like, oh, I feel anxious and it's flippant, a lot of people really struggle with that. But so just a side note, when you guys got married, was it like an agreement? Was it a goal in your mind that your wife would never have to take out the garbage? Is that like a I've made it kind of thing?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, that was always like. Yeah, well, before we got married, like when we moved in, I was like, nope, that will be my job. Like, I want to do that. I had this like weird, I don't even remember like how I like brought it up, but it was just like, I never want your hands to touch trash ever.
Yeah.
She was like, all right. Again, Jalsa's very independent. She's been obviously taking out trash her probably her entire life.
She
I don't know.
lets you because it makes you happy.
Yeah. It very much one of those. Like, it's kind of like opening her door. She was like, I very easily can get my own door.
Yeah.
But I'm like, hands off.
Yeah.
Like, it's very specific.
I do like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so like, but that was just always like one of those things that I'm like, no, like this is something that I like. And when she does it, when I see her doing it, then I rush over there and like a bum rush her, and I'm like, no, you're never supposed to take this trash out. Which again, I don't know why I don't want her to do it, but like she'll do it to like, I think to piss me off. I don't know, but like either way, like I still like I hate like when the trash is empty and like I didn't take this trash out. Who's been taking this trash out? And obviously this was before Ricky, so like there's only 2 of us living here. And then I'm like, why'd you take the trash out? Because she's like, it stank, and I had to take it out. I was like, no, you could have just sat. In my mind, rationally, I literally have said this, rationally, like, you can sit in that stink until I get home, and then I will take this trash out. And she's like, do you know how silly you sound? I'm like, yes, but it's important to me. And she's like,
well, now that you say it out loud.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
sounds ridiculous.
No. But in my mind, yes, you needed to sit in that the stinky trash.
So do you have jobs for her that she... That's so interesting.
Yeah, I don't have anything like she has to do. But I have these things for me. It's like, no, as my responsibility as your partner, as your, whatever, this is what I will do for you. And then like, you can figure out your things. I think like, I don't really have like my ass, because like I love, she's crafty. Like she can make all sorts of different things. So like, I'm like, just make me stuff. Like, like these cookies, I love that. Like that like fills me up so much. Aww, because I like that
doing that.
Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, just make anything. Like, so when she cooks, when she makes, when she crafts things, I wonder if I still have my wallet. I hope I didn't take it out. Oh, I didn't. So she made this for me. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, and then this is probably my 4th one. It's a little note that says, in case you forgot, and then she laminated it, and she says, I love you, and then her nickname is Wink. So she put that on there. This is probably a little side story. 5th one I've gotten because I've lost my wallet a bunch. And so then, of course, I lose my notes. And then she keeps making new ones for me. So
have it tattooed on your arm. That's what I would do.
I think that's probably going to be what my first tattoo will be. Yeah. In case you forgot.
Why did they call her Wink?
She has a lazy eye.
Oh.
And so that was like my nickname for her. Because I don't know if she ever actually like cared that she did. Yeah. But like in my mind, I thought it was something that she was anxious about.
Noticed. She's gorgeous.
Yeah, and most people but I think like she had mentioned it one time that she was like, when she drinks, she's like, oh, my eye will kind of. Yeah. And I was like, no, but I love that. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna call you Wink. Like that's my nickname
that's
for you.
Cute.
Yeah. Just to like reclaim that like anxiousness of her lazy eye. Mm-hmm.
Oh, if Matt starts calling me Snaggletooth, I'm going to be really mad.
But he's just reclaiming the anxiety from that.
No, he's not.
She was like, I know Matt. No, he absolutely is not. He's definitely making fun of me.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. He was still in bed when I left, so I'll go home and he'll be like, oh, that's bad. We're going to have to get you a mask.
Just tell people you have COVID.
Yeah, I will. My grill fell out. Oh, take cats. If anybody wants 2 cats.
Oh my gosh, so great. Well, with the remaining 2 minutes that we have left, anything you want to share or just kind of talk about, just kind of help inspire people with their anxiety and things?
Yeah, nothing off the top of my head. I'm sure I could go on forever, but just be kind to each other, take care of yourselves, and be willing to be uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Maybe give a goal this week to be uncomfortable one day, or go to a different meeting, or whatever, or go to any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, and want to thank, of course, so much for everyone who is listening on the radio, but also those who are on our Facebook Live, on my page, as well as our F5 Project page. Please continue to like and subscribe. We'd love to be able to continue to stay connected with you. We're going to have some awesome season 2, if you will, upgrades and things that we're going to be doing coming really soon. And again, as we've always shared, as you're overcoming anxiety, just, be comfortable. It's gonna hurt. Just try to find lower that bar. Just try to find that easy thing you can do. Lower the bar and just help you just get through that, because again, anxiousness sucks. And so whatever you can do to help manage that, just get over that hurdle. It's not the end of the world, but just, get past that thing and I promise you, it's gonna help you feel a little bit better on the other side. So, thank you so much, Kirsten. I appreciate you being lovely as always. This is One Pretty Ricky. This is F5 Recovery Radio here on KRFF 95.9. Have a great day in recovery.